Behold, we see as in a mirror dimly, but then we shall see face to face. Hello, beloved. This is Bev Potter. This is the end of July. The end of June. Sorry. And in case you're wondering, there was a mistake. All right. So over the past couple of weeks, I have felt to do some research into the Mandela effect. So today, I would like to bring you my findings. All right, so this is what we are going to look at, the Mandela effect phenomenon. And I feel that the Lord would have us work it through logically. So that's what we're going to try to do here. Now this is what we're going to cover. Sorry about the noise. All right, the Mandela effect phenomenon. In the introduction, I would like to explain what the Mandela effect is. And then I would like to explain the verse that I felt I was to focus on, because many people have noticed that the King James Bible seems to have changed, and the words are not the same as what we remember. Then I would like to look at the testimonies of people who have noticed that change and what they have to say about it. The spin-offs, I want to look at them. Many of the spin-offs for various Mandela effects have remained the same, so we'll take a look at that. Then we'll look at the associated references for the Bible, a couple of them, and look at how they've been changed, but how the style is not in the original style that the references were written in. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to look at the word bottle, because that's the key word in this verse that we're having an issue with. And then I will make my conclusion. And then I would like to talk about what is God's purpose in allowing the Mandela effect. All right, so let's carry on. All right, here we are. This is the verse that I wanted to take a look at, Mark 2:22, and this is the King James Version. And it says, "And no man putteth new wine into old bottles, else the new wine doth burst the bottles, and the wine is spilled, and the bottles will be marred. But new wine must be put into new bottles." All right, this is not the way most people remember this verse. And when I was pondering it, I felt impressed by the Holy Spirit to take a look at my parallel Bible, which is King James and Amplified Bible side by side. And because the Amplified Bible is based on the King James, generally the verses are very similar to the King James, except that they use some words to give a fuller meaning of the verses. So she's gone into the writer of the Amplified Bible has gone into the original language and pulled out other words that help to give a fuller understanding of the meaning of those words in the original language. All right, so I felt to look at the Amplified Bible and see if it still says wineskins. So let's just scoot over here to the Amplified. Okay, sorry, I'm going to give you a broad view. Okay, so this is King James Amplified Bible. And here we are. Verse 22. "And no one puts new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the wine will burst the skins, and the wine is lost, and the bottles destroyed." Now, even that bottles, I'm not sure about there, but new wine is to be put in new, fresh wineskins. All right, so that's what most people remember, is that you cannot put new wine into old wineskins because they're stiff and they've hardened and they can't take the expansion that is required to hold new wine. So they just simply crack and burst and they're ruined. But a new wineskin is flexible and is able to stretch with the wine, and it doesn't get ruined. And this is talking about the Holy Spirit, that the Holy Spirit must be put into a new wineskin. All right, we can't retain our old ways of thinking and receive the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit expands our minds and our thinking. All right, thank you. Let's carry on now. So what is the Mandela effect? For this, I'm going to quote Anthony Patch, a technology researcher. He has been looking into CERN and the D-Wave computer and many other technological advances that have been published in the past few years. And he has the gift of being able to explain these technologies in layman's terms so that most of us can get the gist of what's going on. So this is what he has to say about the Mandela effect. He says the Mandela effect is quantum pollution, the bleeding through from other dimensions as an after effect of how D-waves, adiabatic quantum computers function, being interdimensional computers. These computers are accessing in excess of 2 to the 500 power of parallel dimensions, extracting, quote, resources, according to Gordy Rose, the spokesman for D-Wave computers, from these parallel dimensions. Gordy Rose describes standing next to one of these computers as being like standing at the altar to an alien god. Interesting choice of words. All right, so let's move on. So that is the Mandela effect. And as I've said, I'm going to be looking at Mark 2:22. This story that Jesus told is also in Matthew 9:17 and Luke 5:37 and 38. All right. So I've got the NIV version there. This is what people remember. And no one pours new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the wine will burst the skins, and both the wine and the wineskins will be ruined. Notice there's no bottle in there. No, he pours new wine into new wineskins. And this is the way I remember it. No bottle at all in that verse. All right. And this is what the KJV now says, and no man putteth new wine into old bottles. And the wine is spilled, and the bottles will be marred, but new wine must be put into new bottles. Okay, so now I would like to take a look at my my King James Amplified Parallel Bible and explain to you how the verses are generally the same in King James and Amplified, except that they have the fuller meaning in the Amplified. So let's just take a look at a couple of examples here. So here we are in Habakkuk 2:14. But, and she's added in here, the time is coming when the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. That is the Amplified version. And here is the King James. Right here. For the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Very similar. Very similar. Okay. Another example. This is Habakkuk 3:2, King James Version. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years, make known in wrath. Remember mercy. All right, let's look at the Amplified. O Lord, revive your work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years, make yourself known. In wrath, earnestly remember love, pity, and mercy. All right, you see she's added a few extra words, but it just gives a fuller understanding of the original Greek translated into English. But essentially it maintains the same style and most of the same words as the King James. And one more example. Habakkuk 3:18. And here we are. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord, I will joy in the God of my salvation. And we move over to the Amplified, yet I will rejoice in the Lord, I will exult in the victorious God of my salvation. All right, very similar wording, only just a little bit expanded to give a little bit fuller understanding of the meaning. All right, so here we are back to Mark 2:22. And I just want to point out how this is not the style of the writer of the Amplified Bible to completely change the verse. All right, she would have said, so this is the King James, and no man putteth new wine into old bottles. She would have kept old bottles and then put those little brackets and expanded on it and explained that they were wineskins, right? She didn't do that. Here we are. She just has it the way everyone remembers it originally in the King James, and no one puts new wine into old wineskins. See, there's no notations, no explanations. This is just how we remembered it. Except for that bottles, as I mentioned in the NIV, there's no bottles, and I don't remember there being any bottles actually in the Amplified either. So, very interesting. Okay. All right, next we're going to be looking at testimonies of people who remember the verse as having the word wineskin rather than bottles. So we're going to look at Anthony Patch. We're going to look at Aya, which is Extol Yeshua Always YouTube channel. Her name is Kat. And I wanted to make a comment there. Also, Global Witness makes a reference to Satan's words being in the Bible. As far as I'm concerned, the jury's out on the Global Witness. I am not sure if he's a brother or not. He's got some very interesting things to say. So as we read into Corinthians, you let 2 or 3 prophets speak and everyone weighs what they have to say. So I would encourage people to weigh what he has to say. I am not fully convinced that it's the Lord at this point, but I will keep an open mind. All right, so I just wanted to tell you also that it is July 1st and not the end of June. I did try to do this video on Friday. I got halfway through all the research and a window popped up to say it was getting too long, so I cut it off. And then my phone said that it would not play the format of the video, which I took on the phone. So that was a little frustrating. So anyways, I'm going to break it up into chunks this time. So I've gone through the introduction and I will come back and do the testimonies on the next video. I just want to see if this actually loads. Okay, God bless you all. Love you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.